Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today is day 14 of 30 Days of Sketches, and this sketch was created by Stacy Donner Tawari. Probably butchered her name. I'm sorry, Stacy. So this is the sketch. It's some big old tags across a piece of paper with 3 photos. Now, I've had tags in my last 2 layouts, so I'm probably not going to do tags on this one, but I have to say I've been waiting for a 3-photo sketch to come up because I want to scrapbook these 3 photos together. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I am going to be using this tree paper and also this kind of fallish type foliage paper. So when I had pulled this paper that I'm putting down in the center of the trees out for the Snow Quality kit, I had actually planned on using the other side because I thought that those colors would work well with what I had going on with the other papers and embellishments and things. I never thought that these would be the that like this side would be the side that I would use on the layout. And I am so glad that I did it because I really do love this side of the paper. I think it's gorgeous. Of course, I am distressing the edge, and you know, I think everybody should come over to the distressed edge side for just a hot minute. You don't have to stay there, just dip your toes in and try it. And this probably would have worked a little bit better if I had the ability to cut my photos down more. I mean, I could. I definitely have the skills to trim photos, but the way that the photos were, I did not want to actually cut out anything off of the photo because I am mimicking the fact that there are 3 narrow vertical sections on this layout, right? I am not doing tags because I've been doing tags for a hot minute, and I'm done with them for this second. But I really felt like this layout loses a little bit of its, for lack of a better term, beauty with how I end up doing the photos. And that's not to say I don't like this layout. That's not to say that I don't think this layout is fantastic, because I do love this layout. But you miss a little bit of what I cover up, right? And that happens with everything. You could do some really wicked mixed media and, you know, you're like, now I got to cover this up, which is why a lot of the times when I do a mixed media heavy background and I adore the background, I'll do 1 photo on it because the background is just that great and I want to see it, right? Like that's just the way my brain thinks a little bit, and that is completely okay, right? If you want to show off whatever you want to show off, then you do it. But as you can see, I'm looking at my photos. I'm seeing if I want to cut them down to fit on these papers. And ultimately I decide I don't want them to do that. Like I'm kind of moving them around to see, you know, if I cut it off here, will that matter? If I cut it off there, will that matter? And in this case, I just don't want to cut them off, so I am not going to. Now, there are some ribbony type looking things in the sketch, so I am pulling out my ribbony type looking things, and that is going to be this burlap ribbon with the pearl trim. I am pulling out the wire in it. I don't need the wire in it for this. It's going to be flat. Now I am going to press this here along the bottom, and I do this here. If I would have had the ability to trim down those photos, I would have done this on each individual panel of this. Do you know what I mean? Just to give it a little bit of a break where those middle lines are. So essentially, guys, I could have just put an entire sheet of paper here because you're missing a lot of the peekaboo of the trees when I span all 3 photos across the page. And I'm just trying to share a little bit about how it would have gone if I would have had the smaller photos. But like I said, completely happy with this layout. I kind of love it, actually. So I'm going to put these train photos down to kind of figure out where exactly I need to put the burlap ribbon. Now, I'm only going to add that copper glitter tape on the bottom. I'm not going to put it on the top as well, just because I don't really think that I need it on the top. I feel like that little bit of shining, shimmering, splendid that's peeking out right there is enough, right? Like I'm not thinking that I need to add a whole lot of it. I do struggle with getting this down in the right spot. I'm like, wait a second, didn't you just kind of measured this with the photo? Why is it not in the right spot? So instead of just eyeballing it, I am actually going to use my grid mat down below to help me out with that. Because, you know, I want a little bit of the glitter to show through. That's the whole point of putting it down there. I don't want to just cover it up, which, you know, was happening where I was. So now I am going to place a scrap piece of white paper down, and I'm going to adhere all 3 of my photos to this, and I'm going to place this piece of paper down on top of the layout. Now, I did this for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to make sure that my photos were as straight as possible next to each other, because we all know that when you get photos back, they're not all exactly 4x6, because you could put 2 photos right next to each other and they won't be the same height or the same width, right? Like that's just what happens. It's kind of like paper. Not all 12x12 paper is actually 12x12. That kind of stuff happens. So I was putting this down here like that, and I was also putting it down there so that when I adhered it to the page, I would have less of the bumps underneath of the photos from those distressed edges, right? Like I wanted it to be as flat as possible. So twofold reasons for doing that. Now I'm going to bring out the Nouveau Deluxe, and I am going to use this to go ahead and adhere down some of these things. So the glitter tape didn't like sticking to the burlap. So a nice liquid glue that can get in the nooks and crannies and hold is your best bet with those kind of things. This is why I like using liquid glue with fabric, with glitter, with anything that has texture to it. I like using the liquid glue, right? It just works. Wood veneer's another great one for liquid glue. But yeah, so there is that. So I am adding a little bit more adhesive to keep it down. Now, everything is not stupid flat now, but it is flatter than it would have been if I would have just, you know, popped this down. So now I have to decorate the page, right? And the sketch calls for decoration on each panel, and it also calls for a title on the center tag. Now, I really don't have a heck of a lot of room anymore for a title in that vertical column that I have. So what I decide to do is kind of do my own thing. I mean, I'm already doing my own thing, but do my own thing a little bit more. There is decoration down below the photo on the right-hand side, so I'm just going to build some decoration here, right? Like I'm using the word memories. I've pulled out this gold arrow that has this gold doily on it. I'm going to put the doily up at the top. I'm going to have the arrow down here at the bottom so that I have the pretty gold color in both places, because, you know, that feels good. If you like something that much, go ahead and throw it on again. You might like it even more, right? Like that's the philosophy. More is more sometimes, you guys. So now I am using a pokey tool to go ahead and poke out the stickers of that doily, because the little doily innards, the little doily holes are not coming off super easily, and that's frustrating. That does drive me a little bit nuts, I'm not gonna lie. That just kind of drives me insane. So I'm going to move the title, and put this up here at the top. And I'm going to pop it up with some fun foam. And I'm going to have that overlap that doily right there. I also have some hearts that I'm thinking about bringing in and just trying to decorate a little bit. Ultimately, they don't go down right now. I can't exactly remember if they go down later either, but right at that moment, I wasn't feeling them. Now, here is that stupid little die cut that I keep trying to bring in to some kind of layout. Like it's still chilling. I still haven't put it on a layout. So it's one of those things where, you know, something hangs around on your desk. If you have a little bin of like one-offs, stuff that you want to use at your desk, which I have a very tiny one. That's not even in that bin. Like, it is right here, front and center, at me to make sure that I actually use it. Because it comes from that Simple Stories Here and There collection, and I'm using that to scrapbook this trip, right? Like this day trip on the train. So it's just kind of a, come on, Sandy, use this daggone thing, right? I am bringing in some tickets here, and I am going to kind of overlap them. I like this blue color. It doesn't exactly match any of the blues that are in this layout, but there are a variety of blues, and just adding in this extra little blue just feels harmonious to me. It doesn't feel like I am bringing in the wrong blue, right? So like if I brought in a neon blue, that would not feel harmonious. But because the color is similar enough, it feels like it belongs. You know what I mean? Sometimes you want that kind of shock of a color on your layout. This is not one of them. I am going to add in these sticker trees from the Heidi Swapp Wolfpack collection. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, but I ended up with like 4 or 5 packs of these Wolfpack stickers. And they have found their way onto give and take tables. They have been racked out to people, which I haven't done in a hot minute. I haven't sent a random act of kindness to someone in a hot minute. So I feel like I've been slacking on that and I need to make that happen. But I think I only have 2 left now. So that's always exciting, right? I don't know how I ended up with so many of them. It just happened that way, right? Like sometimes you get supplies and you're like, where in the world did this come from? And why do I have 12? You know what I mean? So now I am going to add a little bit more. So I added some of the enamel pieces with the metal round things around them, which drives me crazy. I have to call them adhesive brads. Like still, it just grinds my gears that I have to call them adhesive brads. I'm also bringing in some of these black floral puffy stickers for no other reason why other than they were in the Snoqualmie kit, and I don't think I meant to have them in the Snoqualmie kit. But I figured since it was in there, I needed to use something off of there, right? Like that's the point of the kit, to use the stuff that's in it. So I'm going to pop those bad boys down. I've got one up here at the top. I've also got one down here at the bottom where that little decorative bit is. And I am doing the finger tap because I was thinking, did I want to bring in the splatter? And you know, your girl wanted to bring in that splatter. So here it is. And then once those splatters are finished, you guys, this is where I'm going to call this layout finished. And I am going to be happy with it. I might use this sketch again in the future so I can have those narrow vertical pieces, because I think it would be real fun to do that even if it's not a tag. Who knows? By the time I do the sketch again, maybe I'll be ready to play with tags. But yeah, that's it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.